The movie Philomena is about a young Irish woman, young girl actually, teenager, who becomes pregnant. So this occurs in Ireland. And her family and herself, she's sent to this convent, and she's living in the convent, pregnant, waiting for the birth of her son. And after the birth of her son, and even before, she spends most of her time working all day in the laundry in the convent. And it wasn't a very pleasant place to live, and the sisters there were not particularly kind. So she lived there, and then one day, and she would spend like just a few minutes each day, she was given after the birth of her child to spend time with her son. And then one day she learned that the sisters had placed her son for adoption with a couple. And to say she was devastated would be an understatement. So years later, probably about 50 years later, she decided that she was going to try and find her son. And she hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Norman Sixsmith. And Sixsmith, he was a very unhappy guy. He had a tough life. He'd lost a job somehow and a bad decision. He was a journalist, and he was bitter, he was angry, he was sarcastic, he was cynical. He was just not a very pleasant guy, but he was a great help to help Philomena find her son. And eventually, with a long search, they did find the son. They found out about him, and Philomena was pleased with that. Philomena, in this movie, if you ever get a chance to see it, it's just a wonderful woman. She was kind, she was considerate, even with all she experienced. She was forgiving, she was loving, she was everything that you would want in a person to be who was a follower of Jesus. And Sixsmith was just the opposite. He was bitter, he was cynical. He thought that Philomena and he should go after the sisters for whatever had happened. He was angry, he was just very upset with the sisters. And actually one of the sisters kind of never got over, never changed her attitude. But Philomena, she was able to forgive her. And at some point towards the end of the film, Sixsmith is just terribly upset and angry, and she says to him, so, what did your anger achieve? What did you accomplish by all of your anger? And even though they were so different personality-wise and temperament in the way they responded. Well, in the gospel for today, Jesus heals a man born blind. He didn't just heal the man for his sake, but he wanted the people there, he wanted us to see and believe who he was, that he was the Son of God and he had the power to see. So he wanted us to see. And as the people there, some of them believed, some of them didn't believe, but he wanted people to see. Philomena was a believer. She certainly was one who saw the bigger picture. In spite of all her suffering, she was able to get by it. She was able to love and forgive. So may there be a lesson for us in that in our faith, may we always be able and open to seeing the bigger picture, always open to seeing the light.